Welcome to our session today for learning how to decrease your energy usage within your business and part of our Summit of Sustainability Award webinar series. Today we're very fortunate to have Tracey Stevens, External Affairs Manager from Dominion East Ohio Gas, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the areas that you can focus on in order to reduce your gas and other energy usage. So at this time, let me welcome Tracey Stevens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. It is indeed our privilege and honor to be here to talk about how you can put your energy into conservation. We have some basic fundamentals here that we're going to talk about over the next few minutes. Energy conservation makes good sense for businesses not only because of the reduction in the energy consumption, but lower energy costs also transform into more dollars and cents for the business's bottom line. Most businesses, through our experience, can save up to 25% or more by taking some of these simple low or no-cost steps to reduce their energy use. Simple things that we're going to talk about related to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, lighting, general office equipment, energy efficiency, water use, and reduction in energy related to heating the water. And then we have some other ways to save. We're going to talk about opportunities for folks to use contracts and negotiating rates. Lastly, we'll close out with some contact information, both for companies who do energy audits, as well as our Dominion East Ohio Business Development Program. And then I will end with contact information where you can go to our website, www.dom.com, and get more information both on the natural gas and on the electric usage side. So first off, we have HVAC. These HVAC systems account for roughly half of the energy cost used in commercial buildings. And we have very simple steps. Unfortunately for a lot of folks, they are very simple, but they're time-consuming, and so some folks don't see the direct connection to improving the net income. We talk at the residential level about setting your thermostats higher in the summer and lower in the winter. We recommend 78 degrees for summer and 68 degrees for winter heating. Now, in a business environment, as long as you're taking the humidity out of the air, 78 degrees can, in fact, be comfortable for an office environment. And 68 degrees, again, may seem cool to folks, but certainly they can wear sweaters. We don't encourage folks to then supplement that with heaters or with electric fans, only because then that drives up your energy cost. But the important side for local businesses also could be the case of a restaurant, where we have the folks who are serving, the folks in the kitchen, the wait staff gets very hot. And if they have access to the thermostat, they can turn that up, especially in the summertime. So whether the customers are complaining or not, there still may be an opportunity for energy savings by keeping those thermostats higher in the winter, higher in the summer, and cooler in the winter. The other thing that we talk about on the residential side, again, is to boost your heating and cooling by using ceiling fans. Now, the problem with ceiling fans, as I have entered, I cannot tell you how many restaurants, is that folks don't turn them on. They're installed either with or without a light kit, but they're not used clockwise in winter to move the air up and counterclockwise in summer to move the air down. Really does help in either a restaurant situation or in a home situation. It helps people feel more comfortable. In the wintertime, you're moving all that hot air that just pools up at the ceiling back down around. And in the summertime, you're blowing cooler air on folks. So keep in mind that whether it's a residential or a commercial building, if you do install the ceiling fans, you want to make sure that they're turned on low and that you're using them, again, clockwise in winter and counterclockwise in summer to move the air. It's important to realize that for every degree of higher temperature, a 3% savings can result. So if you take that air conditioning up to 75 degrees from 74 degrees, that's 3% savings right there. We talk about programmable thermostats, and again, I will keep referring back to the end of the presentation when we have information on energy audits, because some of these pieces will be a cost-benefit analysis that a company would be able to do depending on your zoning. The other issue is that some of the older buildings that we have, especially the commercial sites, or warehousing that was turned into an office, they don't have appropriate zoning for their heating and cooling, and that, for some folks, is a very expensive proposition. So they will need to run those numbers. They will need to talk to their qualified HVAC professionals. You can find those folks through the Yellow Pages, through the Better Business Bureau. But someone who could come in and really help the business devise a plan if they need that zoning to be able to move air in a more efficient manner to heat and cool, that they can do that. Again, qualified HVAC professionals, I cannot stress that enough, but have them tune up the HVAC system. It's just like your home furnace. Sometimes in commercial sites, they will not have enough staff to actually have a maintenance person in the building every day, but it is critically important to replace those filters, check the belts, look at the calibration. You want to be comfortable, especially if it's in an office environment, but you really have to look at those economies all year long. The other piece too, especially the older buildings that we have, is weather stripping and caulking. When you have that air leaking in around everything from doors and windows to the overhead bays, even utility switches and outlets, you know, in some cases these buildings quite literally had lathes put right over the brick, so there's not a real good opportunity to insulate in some of these buildings, and especially in the rehabbing efforts when, like I said, a warehouse was then purchased for a reuse. Best advice we have is make sure all your equipment's running properly, and make sure that with your contractor or the subcontractor that you hire for either the HVAC or for the reconditioning of the building, that you have these conversations as well. The next phase of our discussion, I turn to lighting, which, of course, Dominion East Ohio does not entertain the electric side of the lighting. We do still have some natural gas lamps that folks have in communities. And of course, the same is true for any of those natural gas lamps. They need to be conditioned. They need to make sure a qualified technician needs to make sure that they're burning properly. But for small businesses and commercial accounts, lighting is responsible for 1/5 of your energy bill. If you reduce that amount of energy by half, you're going to see a 15% reduction in your electricity bill. Again, you're going to have some folks from First Energy here soon talking to you all, and they're going to have a lot more detailed information. Again, these are just some common sense pieces. Turn lights off when you're not in use. There are those switch plate occupancy sensors that are really good for very low use areas, because it automatically turns the light off when no one's in the room. So you see real savings there because someone simply didn't remember to turn the light off. As soon as they leave, those occupancy sensors shut down that light in that area. The other piece that we have been talking about as a country for the past couple of years is switching from the fluorescence to solid state. And again, the folks from First Energy are going to be able to talk in much greater detail about this. But what we do know is that when you switch from the T12 to the T8s, they last longer. The lighting quality, in fact, is better. And you also can reduce the number of lights you need, which is also a benefit for the long-term business and industry folk, because then you're replacing less lights the long term. So again, cost-benefit analysis for small businesses is really important, and it's looking long-term. What changes can I make now that will impact my bottom line for a long time to come? We also have been talking about replacing incandescent light bulbs with the compact fluorescent lamps. The CFLs last almost 10 times longer and roughly 70 to 80% less to operate. The other piece to that, not just CFLs, but using light-emitting diode technology. The exit lights that were installed 10, 15 years ago are much less efficient. And, of course, by code, you have to have those. So replacing those with LED also can help. Something that also may escape business and industry folk is cleaning the fixtures. I mean, that is something that we stress in terms of the yearly maintenance. And again, it may be a challenge for small businesses who don't have a maintenance staff. We encourage folks, talk with your cleaning contractors about those kinds of yearly activities within the building. The other, again, common sense initiative is just simply don't have more light than you need. Use daylight when you can, so keep the blinds open, particularly in winter, because that helps reduce your heating cost because you're using the natural sunlight. And reduce the use of overhead lighting and go to task lighting. And again, when you use the compact fluorescent lamps, or even LED technology, depending on what task lighting you need, you're reducing your energy consumption. We're going to move now to general office equipment. The power strips now can have the on-off switches, and so especially for weekends, that's important for businesses, particularly offices that aren't open on Saturday and Sunday. You can shut the whole power strip down, and that will turn off all of the equipment, everything that's connected to that. So if it's a computer, a monitor, a printer, and that helps reduce the electric bill as well. Choosing Energy Star products, and this is another element for businesses when you're revamping, say, your kitchen, and you're providing that sort of lunchroom for your employees. You always want to make sure that you're using those Energy Star products. At Dominion East Ohio, we're a Six Sigma company, and we had a project that looked at all of the printers in all of the buildings, in all of the floors in all of the buildings. And you can really establish savings not only on your energy cost, but you're ordering less printer cartridges and paper and so on, having centrally located printers rather than everyone having a desk printer. Again, reducing your energy costs, plus you're increasing the opportunity for your staff to get together and chat. Sometimes we get in our own cubicles and we don't have that communication, and centrally located printers are a way to help that. Moving on to water. Water is a major utility expense, both in the use of the water and in the heating of the water. Low-cost conservation measures can result in 10% savings, which over time also helps your sewage costs, because if you're using less water, you have less cost for the water consumption and the sewage, depending on your community. That could be as much as 10% savings in that area as well. Same thing for residential customers. I say it again to small businesses and commercial accounts. Small leaks add up to gallons of water and dollars wasted each month. So again, I go back to those small businesses and industries that have maintenance people who come and go, not necessarily someone who's there on site all the time. So checklists really help. Once you identify the leak, then you take care of that. Using water-saving faucets, toilets, the ultra-low flow toilets use nearly half the water per flush. So again, you're reducing your consumption, and in these cases you're not heating the water, but it's a reduction in the savings. I remind all folks out there who have boilers and hot water tanks, Set your water temperatures only as hot as needed. Now, there are obviously local codes for specifics in restaurants and other industries such as that, but I'm talking about hand washing. And, of course, the natural gas on-demand or tankless water heaters heat up much faster, and because of that, you can have savings, 25% or so. Now, the gas heat, obviously, this year has been much cheaper. The natural gas rate is about $2 per 1,000 cubic feet. So, again, we're looking at considerable savings for customers, both in terms of consumption for water heating as well as for heating the air, and that we're going to talk in a few minutes about contracts. So that's really for small businesses. Other ways to save, we have a consultant named Ralph Russell, who's a former Dominion colleague, who's a principal at eDiscovery, and he gave us these following hints. Now, some of these relate specifically to natural gas customers, and others relate to just energy in general. So I'm just going to touch on these and give you some information on the Dominion East Ohio side. And again, you're going to be hearing from First Energy, so you can get their contact information later. But these are simple things: sales tax exemptions, making sure that if you are tax exempt, that's on all of your billing, and if not, that you have someone dedicated to going back and doing rebills. Oftentimes those things escape until an audit, and you certainly don't want to wait that long. Rate schedule changes. Customers can choose from different available rates, but again, you have to identify what rates you're on, you have to know what your consumption is, and then you have to work with a utility representative to see that savings. At Dominion East Ohio, we pride ourselves on getting our bills right, but of course everyone's human and mistakes are made. So you want to make sure that there is someone in the organization or in the small business who's keeping track of those bills and making sure that the meter readings are exact. There are small businesses, especially startups, that will be asked for deposits, and so you need to talk with your utility about how you can get a waiver if that is possible. The other negotiated rate side is, again, for a relationship management. When you talk with your either natural gas or electric development manager, based on consumptions, there are some opportunities to negotiate rate. And the last piece on this slide is the totalization of accounts. Now, this does depend on the utility, it depends on the circumstance, but there may be an opportunity to aggregate some of your billing to be able to realize some savings. And again, you need to talk with the folks at the local utility who can help you with that. I had referred several times to an energy audit. Here are just some well-known companies who engage in that kind of activity. Again, these are outside the purview of the natural gas or an electric utility. These are folks that a company, a small business owner would contact for an energy audit. It's a relationship between the customer and folks like Honeywell or Johnson Control. But it is a way for business and industry to take a look at what they're using and how, in fact, they can either reduce their consumption or, in some cases, the energy efficiency allows them for long-term, changing out boilers and those sorts of pieces. So the last thing I want to leave you with is the Dominion East Ohio contacts. These are by region. So for small business and commercial accounts, you can contact these folks. For instance, Dave Evans is in the Mathlan area. Dave Costa is in the Akron area. So I've given you their office and their cell phone. That's also their email. So if you have questions specific to your natural gas usage related to Dominion East Ohio accounts, you have that contact information. The last thing I will leave you with is my contact information and the link to our website, which is www.dom.com. We encourage folks who are just looking for information, ways to save, to visit our website and to either go in on the electric side, because we do have a sister company in Richmond, Virginia, so there's information about electricity savings, or to the Dominion East Ohio site within the web page, and that will give you information on natural gas rates and ways to save money. I thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and to share this information with you, and I wish you all good luck.
Tracey, thank you very much. That was great information, and hopefully all of our local businesses find that useful. I'd also like to thank Dominion East Ohio, just as one of our proud sponsors of the Summit of Sustainability Award. They've helped by making sure not only to provide educational information like this, but the monetary support in order to be able to have our award go forward and help educate businesses in general. So thank you very much, and we encourage people to look forward to our other webinar sessions.